the show.
Good afternoon. You're listening to Cannabis Corner on WNHHLP 103.5 FM, broadcasting live from downtown New Haven. We are streaming live on TuneIn Radio and NewHavenIndependent.org. We're also streaming live video on Facebook and YouTube. Just go to your Facebook page and look us up, or hit see first to see and hear all the great programs that we have here on WNHHLP. And just a reminder that Cannabis Corner is also streaming live on the Greenhaven Media Facebook page and ProCannabisMedia.com. Good afternoon, everybody. It is Monday, May the 12th, the day after Mother's Day. Welcome to Cannabis Corner. I'm your host, Joe LaChance, Joe the Weed Guy, and I am joined here, of course, as usual, by the one and only Farmer Lou, Uncle Lou. How are you this week, my friend?
Hey, how's it going, good brother? How's it going? I can't call it today, just pushing through the weekend. The weather's getting way better. I actually stopped at our good friend Gabe's shop, Megatron. So I guess it's the same. This is the topic. This is the time. You know what I mean, Joe? This is the time to start. Start getting back into your gardening habits if you are a gardener. I don't want to be too forward about it, but we've kind of faced and gone through the New England fall spring.
Yep.
So if you are getting ready, Mother's Day passed, the tulips.
Yeah.
The tulips are popped up, and once the tulips are up, I know that we can start doing what we need to do. And the plants will start to operate in the way that plants should operate,
And it is the full moon, the first full moon of spring. So we got that going on. And you're supposed to plant at the full moon. So, and they always say Mother's Day. And what was yesterday?
Yep.
Mother's Day. And what did I do yesterday?
I hope you did some planting.
I certainly did. I spent my afternoon in the garden.
Very good.
Everything looks lovely. My limit, I got them out there. So far, so good. Got some nice different babies from different people. I got a little, I don't even want to talk about it on the air, but I got a nice variety. And it's good.
It's your rose garden.
Of herbs.
Remember, it's your rose garden, your herb garden, whatever you need to. And it's, obviously it's in you're a smart adult. You would make sure it's not visible. You'll make sure, all the things that go with it. That's all we can do is suggest to our listeners. But we wouldn't say don't grow. You know what I mean? Make sure you do things in the most best place. But this is the time. You know what I mean? Some guerrilla gardeners are really been out there heavy right now. Some of the guerrilla guys who use greenhouses out in the forest are removing plastics now and just letting it do its thing. This is that time. If ideally, you would have some indoor plants that you just took care of for 5 months. Vegging for the last 5 months, putting the seeds in the beginning of the year, you'd be putting out 4-foot trees. You know what I mean, Joe?
Right. That'd be nice.
So it's all about when you got it. That's your next year, and that's what I tell people is once you do your first outdoor, you learn a lot of things. And then you're like, wait a second. And remember, that's today's conversation. We have growers coming on again.
Yes.
So we want to make sure this is the time for that conversation. So this is, you'll get through your first grow, Joe. Your stuff will start to dry and you'll start curing it. And then you'll, smoke through some of it on Thanksgiving and New Year's. Then in the second week of January, you're going to be like, ooh, you know what? I was thinking if I get the plant started now, then they have some time to grow. And, and then you're like, you know what? All right, cool. I'm already doing it. So might as well start this small nursery and start to nursery your little plants through.
That's kind of what I'm thinking, Lou. This is my first year ever really taking it serious.
Right.
And you talked about Metatron, right? He is the first year that there's actually been a grow store right near me with somebody I know.
Right.
Who can give me advice, literally show me what to do, told me to take pictures. I mean, he will definitely help me out.
Yep.
So I want to take this as serious as I can, and I agree with you. Even if I have a small little space to, you don't have to always grow 6 plants.
No, you can
You can
grow
grow
two
two
good
plants
plants.
over the winter,
I
right?
tell people grow two good plants, and then boom.
Right,
Once those two plants hit the summertime, the springtime, you can chop those plants in half and have four
right.
plants that are nice. So if you grow two really nice plants and you start to train it to grow a certain way, you can put a root ball on it without even cutting the plant and have a whole new set of roots come out on a certain part of the plant, and you
That's
have two
right.
new trees.
That's right. And there's all this is the kind of stuff I want to experiment with. Like, I know at a certain point I'm going to be able to clone some of these. So
Up,
why not clip a couple clones off and put them indoors and like you say, start getting them ready for the next year.
yep.
Yeah, so I've been working with this plant for a long time, right? And I ran a school. We taught people how to grow. I literally took the classes, helped edit the damn classes, and I've never actually put it into practice. So
There
now
you
it's
go.
time.
And got some friends that do it. It's not like you don't got any advice, or it's not even a crazy conversation. Because once you're doing it, which you are, because you're officially doing it.
And then when we have the help, you could always help me if I needed
Yep.
advice. Anybody, all the people I hang out with.
Well, once the conversation, what I'm saying is that conversation. It's not even about asking for help anymore. Now you're just having a conversation about what's going on.
Yeah,
That's it. That's cool.
yeah,
Now you bounce what you see. You're teaching yourself every day in practical knowledge, not just your theoretical knowledge. So
right.
you can apply all that theoretical knowledge.
No, exactly. That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah, finally. I tried a little bit in Puerto Rico. Not the best place to really go for outdoor
No, it's tough.
cultivation.
It's tough.
Really tough with that lighting schedule. So now that I'm back here, last year I did do one. And, it didn't turn out so great. So this year I decided to take it serious. And my roommate here happens to agree with me. So ready to roll. And between the two of us, we can do 12 if we want.
That's right.
Yeah. So how
You
about
know,
you? Do you get yours going or what?
I got a little something going.
Nice.
So
That's
everybody's got to
right.
have everything. And it's a big thing for me is making sure to stay within the legal limits because
Right. Of course you
there's a
have to.
lot there. Yep. There's a lot that can come back and forth, and so as an adult in my private residence, and I'm not even doing the outdoor. I'm just got a little grow going. You know what I mean? I put some solar panels in the yard. Nothing too crazy, but just something enough to run a battery that can charge the lights. So
Right.
LEDs for very minimal light consumption. I mean, very minimal energy consumption. I've got it down to as minimal of consumption of power as possible. But obviously, that's not going to throw us some huge ones. So we're doing some supplemental lighting with the sun and things like that. And I got a little greenhouse in the yard, so might as well just do it. It's completely out of view. It's surrounded by the whole house. You know what I mean? So it doesn't bother anybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's the
Plus,
goal. Don't bother anybody. Don't. So real small is my mantra this year, and I think that's what I'm gonna focus on is them being smaller plants, but hoping and babying them to making sure that the quality is a great quality. You know what I mean?
right.
So
Right. You can grow small plants. You know that. We've discussed that before.
yeah,
It's not the size, it's how you grow it.
that's
And
right.
let's be real, Lou. By next year, you're going to be growing all the time.
Exactly. So, but I just
Professionally. Professionally.
yeah, and I just that's why right now it's big about just letting it do its thing.
Yeah, right, right. And you've got enough experience to let it do that. And
Yeah.
so, yeah. So that brings us, how was your weekend, by the way? How was Mother's Day?
Mother's Day was all right. I worked, so um, that's okay. We had the male staff mostly at the dispensary because the
A lot
mothers
of them are
are
mothers. Right.
yep, it's half and half, so we have a half and half staff. Um and so there's two mothers on the team, So obviously they spend the day with their family, and then we had some flowers we had some roses that we purchased, some colorful roses, and we gave them out with purchases. Celebrated. My mother spoke to my mother, my kid's mother. So it's
Nice.
all
Nice.
good.
Yeah, no, I ended up, not doing much. I visited my mother at her resting place, and I
There you
did go to
go.
an interesting event this weekend. It was called Zen Fest.
Okay.
It was down at the same place where they did the Art and Soul.
Okay.
It apparently was put on by Jonathan and
Okay.
from Sun to Moon. It was interesting. It was much smaller than Art and Soul, but it was about health and wellness.
Mm-hmm.
Uzma had a booth there. And I got to see Carrie Ann. I don't know if you remember her. She used to be over with Gold Coast,
Yep.
Carrie.
Yep.
She just opened a new grow store, as a matter of fact. So this is good. People are spreading out. She just opened a new grow store called Root Purpose, and that is in Greenwich, which is a really underserved area.
Yeah.
So I mean, it really helps to get it down there in Fairfield County. Not only is it underserved as far as a grow store per se, there's really Stanford is really where you got to go. Is the only place where dispensaries are. As far as Greenwich and the surrounding areas, Coscob, Darien, no, 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 no. They all have moratoriums. So it's really good. I think it's good to bring it down to that area.
100%. 100%.
Yeah, so that's a new business just started. So, and just wanted to give her a little plug.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
What
So yeah,
events do we have going on?
we got events coming up. Let's see. This Tuesday, the 13th, from 6 to 9, we have a full moon paddle. And I'm only talking about this because I'm going to be going, and it's down in Milford, where I live. And it's a paddle. Obviously, it's cannabis friendly. A bunch of people will be there from Happy Twisted High, and a few people will be there. We're going to get a paddle boat. If you have a kayak, or you can just sit on the beach. We're going to do some drumming too.
There you go.
Yeah, full moon tomorrow night, Walnut Beach in Milford. If you want to go hang out there. Okay, then the 14th, we got a clone adoption
Yep.
going on, and that's the Grove. I'm also working on that one. There's only going to be two left this year because obviously, you got to get your clones in the ground, get them going by the end of the month.
Yep.
Uh,
Yep.
well, was told, I think, that you can go all the way to the summer solstice,
Well,
which is like the
that's
third
when the
week.
light changes. It's usually
Right.
yeah, it's July, the second week in July, usually
Yeah,
the twenty
but
first. There,
it's not recommended, but yeah, you can go to the
if you do, the
solstice.
plants will start flowering immediately.
Yeah. But it is good to get them in it, I would say, by the end of this month. So we got a couple of them going. And then on the 17th, Connecticut is doing a hike up there in Guilford.
Yep.
And
Yep.
that is at a place called 26 Sam Hill Road. I guess it's a place where they hike up in Guilford. That is this Saturday. That is sponsored by Wawa. And that is Connecticut. And so we always want to give those guys a shout out. So that'll be the first hike of the year. And then, of course, we'll be talking about that today, this Sunday, over at Nautilus. Our friends who are coming on the show today from Shoreline Hydroponics will be there to do a home grow demo. They can talk about them about seeds, cloning, whatever it is to get your garden up and running. They will be there. Very good educational event. And we'll talk to them today about exactly what they will be talking about there this Sunday. So I think that's it. Have you heard of any events out there, Lou?
Nope. 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 Just kind of just grinding and keeping my head down right now. So you have been my eyes and ears in that
Yeah.
space.
I mean, there's some things coming up at the end of the month. We have our next event over at the Holy Ghost Park. I do know that, I mean, there is a few things coming up. Rich over at the Bohemian High has an event coming up on the 14th of June, which will be a spring festival out there, and which is always nice. I will have a booth there. I will have a table there, Cannabis Corner, represented out there. They got some bands playing. But there's a bunch of things going on. Oh, here's one I wanted to recommend. Kimura is doing a fundraising event this Wednesday. It's via Zoom. It's from 6:30 to 8:30, and it's on Facebook Live. It's called Stained Ideologies, and it is with an artist. It is about healing through art. Um, and it's a fundraiser, and I think it's always good to support what Kimura is doing. So if you want to know what's going on with that, it's called Stained
Agreed.
Ideologies. It looks very, very cool. Wednesday the 14th. It's via Zoom, so you don't have to come, but it's really education. You can get involved. It's about art and healing and how art can heal. So I think it's really cool that she's doing that kind of stuff. All right.
That's amazing. Thanks.
Yeah, and the Flower Expo again is coming June 4th and 5th. That's up in Massachusetts. That's a fun thing. And we also have to see what I think it's called the Cannabis Works Expo now. Is this the true in New York at the Javits Center? It used to be CWCBE now.
Yep,
So
yep.
those are a couple events that are in the future this summer. So Lou, while we wait for our guests, anything going on in the out there in the industry you want to talk about? We got I know I've been talking to all the activists out there and everything. Everybody's up in arms, about this new bill coming up with the task force and all this kind of thing. And I just want to ask you, as a dispensary owner, what do you feel about all that whole kind of thing?
It's absolutely wild, brother. It's
Yeah.
absolutely wild. Yeah, the state has over regulated this plant so much without clear interpretations of their own regulations, varying from district to district. So it's you've seen what they did with the hemp, you've seen what they did with the small businesses, you've seen what they did. It's wild that
It does not seem
it's
to be.
taken so far.
It really is. And even when you look at other states, you don't see this kind of extremism. And it's not just with their enforcement, it's with every
No, it's the
aspect.
regulations that you know what I mean. It's the
Yeah.
whole thing. It's the legislation, the regulations, and I think that the legislators were trying to get something. I think they were just when they put something in, and then the regulators write policy, because that's kind of just what happened, right? And policy was introduced, and then they were like, "Wait a second, this takes it too far." Just rewrite it again without prejudice. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, it's a slippery slope. And of course, nobody's going to say that the people in the smoke shops who are doing this are not guilty.
right,
Right. They
right,
are.
right, 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 right.
However, and the state's approach to it, however, as usual, is always very extreme. And people have made good points. And I know I went on the radio last week and I got some heat for it a little bit. But people made some good points. We don't need a task force
No,
because every day we are reading about them busting these things left and right. So if they've already been doing it and doing tons of them, being successful, why do they need more money for a task force to do something they're already doing?
so I'll take it one step. Let me pose another question, sir. All right. If any regular folk was outside selling weed in the same manner, they would arrest them.
I was
Right.
gonna go there. Right, right.
They would arrest them.
If I set up a table on the green and started selling weed, I would be in handcuffs before you knew it.
Imagine if I did it.
Right.
So now they don't want to go into the store. They say they can't. Or if you walk in and the guy tries to sell you weed, then I guess there's your idea. Hey, he's selling weed and you can go through the whole thing. But no, it's a fine for
And
selling
you
weed
can open
without.
back up and do it again. Yeah, that was another thing. It's like, shut them
So is
down.
there really like I'm not saying they got to shut up. Do what you got to do in the
Or
space
take
you got
away
in
their
space.
tobacco license, whatever.
But like, what is it a fine? If it's a fine, it's legal for a fee. You know what I
Right,
mean? So like,
right,
is
right,
somebody getting
right.
arrested? Like, who do you arrest? Like, because
It,
I'll say this, if I was in the corner and they were like, "Why are you selling weed?" Well, my boss told me to sell weed. Well, your boss ain't here. You want to rat on him or something because now you're getting arrested. So if the clerk is the one selling the weed and the store wants to say, "Oh no, we're not selling weed. It was him doing it independently," because now there's that whole
that's
conflict where
true.
you're
I
treating it like
wonder
an
if they've tried that
infraction,
before. Yeah,
right? So like, is it the individual or is it a corporation? Because it's not nobody's gonna force you to do something. You know what
right.
I mean? Like those guys aren't like, oh, somebody's forcing me to do this, bro. You own the shop. Like we see, like you're doing it. It's all good. Don't.
Yeah, I mean,
You know,
I'm kind of glad it
you don't
got
need a
brought.
task force if if you see a crime happening. Go ahead. Like you got
Yeah,
other shit to be dealing with, but you can
yeah,
run
come
up
on,
on.
dude.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
How hard is it? You've been busting cigarette dealers for years. You've been busting liquor stores for years for underage sales and all these things. How hard is it? You've already busted tons of these people. Now you want to take money out of the money. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but this was supposed to go to social programs, and you've moved it into enforcement
Yep.
for a task force that's doing something that you're already doing. It sounds like some kind of scheme to me, but I don't.
It's to make it a much larger
Yeah,
endeavor, and then even that, you're trying to do licensing even for hemp products
yeah.
is
You
a
know, and
total. It's a catch-22 because it's like, oh well, is there a program? Is there not a program? Is it
yeah,
says there is, but I guess there's not. Oh, okay, we can pay $2,000 for this license, but then we can only purchase these products from the manufacturers that manufacture cannabis
right,
that don't
right, right,
manufacture anything,
right.
and I can't buy anything from them. So it's like a whole catch-22 circular.
It
One
is.
rule overturns another, and then there's like
It's a
no real
spiral.
clarity, and then yeah, and then it's all up to interpretation, and then now those that are interpreting it take it quite personally because you may not like their interpretation and offer another. Like, and then it's
It's
supposed to be work, so you're not supposed to take it personally, right?
and here's another thing, you're also now you're bringing in a whole nother segment of a licensed industry into it. Now you've got smoke shops, just like you brought liquor stores into it. What is to stop a liquor store from selling weed behind the counter? What is to stop a beauty salon from selling weed behind the counter now? It's just a fine. Anyway, our guest is here. And with us we have Chad Lynch. Chad is, of course, from Shoreline Hydroponics. And Shoreline Hydroponics can help you through the planning, building, and maintenance stages of hydroponic gardening. Be it a small house project or a large commercial space, they can assist you with whatever gardening goals you have. Chad has a large background. He worked for cultivating cannabis in the Veg Department of New England Treatment Access in Franklin, Mass. Chad has been, I mean, he's been in the business a long time. We
Yeah.
just
Yes,
got off.
sir.
So
Chad,
Trent's
how you
bio
doing?
was
Your bio is too long for me to read today with
yeah.
the condition
Well,
I'm
I
in.
think you were combining my
Because I
bio.
wanted to look at in the condition I'm in. Your bio's too long, but I know you guys do. We've had you on the
You
show
might
before.
have smoked something.
I did, and
Yeah.
I
No,
just
that's all
got
good.
riled up a little bit
So
off the
that's
topic with the smoke shops. But I wanted, we want to talk about growing. So let's talk about what's going on up there at Shoreline Hydroponics and give us a little bit of background, of course, on the store and how you got opened.
yeah. Sorry about the bios. Those are mine and Trent. So you're combining the two
You
of
got to
us. You
get an
can.
editor in there, maybe AI in there to make them smaller,
No,
but
it's all good. If anybody really wants to know, they can come down and check us out.
that's it.
Um, yeah. No, we do everything from Trent's background was commercial agriculture, so he has a
Right.
degree in plant, soil, and insect science. Ran golf courses and larger ag projects. About 10, 11 years ago, he got into the commercial side of cannabis specifically, and has designed and built a bunch of gardens in Mass. And now we're working with a few in Connecticut, a few in Mass, one in DC that we're trying to get online. So varying sizes from anything from a home grow in your own basement to 70,000 square feet, I think is the biggest one we're working on now. But yeah, I mean it's going well. It's an interesting industry for sure.
Yeah, it seems like over the past, I would say, obviously, since it became legal, past 4 years, that business, not only in this state, but around the country, as far as the growing interest in growing cannabis, has exponentially, let's say, grown. And
Yeah.
am I correct in that? Because you guys opened up, what, 3 years ago?
Yeah, a little over 3 years. And yes, it's definitely there's a boom and bust to it. And I heard you guys talking about it too. It's like when it comes in, licenses are scarce,
Yep.
and the price per pound's high. And then you see a lot of the markets that are well established where the price, like Massachusetts right now, the price per pound has just dropped off significantly. So it's a challenging industry, and I think to go in and build the facilities knowing that and like how to best build the facility so it's as efficient as possible, so your price per pound to produce is as low as humanly possible, so you can still be competitive when the price drops for what you're selling.
Yeah, I think people don't understand and realize the cost that goes into and the amount of work and like you say, you're working in various states right now. There are different regulations in each state for what a cultivation facility needs to have. Am I correct? As far
Oh,
as
absolutely. Yeah.
your square footage, ventilation, all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, the licensing looks very different, like the landscape's very different in all the states, as well as like what you're going to be putting into the facility differs a lot based on where you are in the country. So
True.
early on out here, we saw a lot of the growers from California or Colorado coming out here and designing and building facilities, and they don't have humidity. So
That's
the
true.
requirements for HVAC and dehumidification out here is a lot different than what it looks like out there. So yeah, there's a lot of different things to take into account. Obviously, yeah, state regulations are something that it can be difficult to navigate for sure. It's just a lot of making sure you know what you're doing before you're spending the money on doing it.
Yeah, exactly right. And of course, depending on the size and like you were talking, efficiency is going to become very important in this industry because we can even see in lighting how much it has changed over the years. You remember you used to have those big,
Yeah,
big,
high
what were
pressure
they called?
sodium.
HPS,
Yeah, high pressure
HPS
sodium.
lights. And
Now
now
it's
those
LED.
costed you a ton of money, a ton of electricity. They broke, right? They could pop, they could break. That was a huge cost. Now we have LEDs, right? And
Yep.
obviously, knowing you with your expertise, the way you place them, the different, the way they are, obviously the lighting source and the electricity, you can definitely save a lot of money depending on how you can put together.
Yeah, I mean, not they also produce a lot of heat too, so it helps with the HVAC loads. But yeah, the LEDs have come a really long way, even in the 3 years since we've opened. I mean, before that, obviously there were huge advancements from HPS to LED. But even in the last 3 years, it's been crazy how much like just the R&D has come as far as full
Right.
spectrum and But yeah, I mean, obviously, if you're growing plants, like you want to know the par levels of that entire room and veg versus flower and all that kind of stuff for sure.
Right, right. And that has to be kind of really meticulously designed. Now, we just talked about, do you find that the LEDs, I mean, I remember when they originally came out, many people were complaining that they were not getting the same quality, the same type of yields that they were getting when they were using the HPS. Have they come up in quality since then to where they're almost equivalent to what you used to be able to get through the HPS? Or are
Yeah,
they
I mean,
even better?
people still swear by HBS. Like, there's people that will just die on that hill. I think like to them, nothing, no LED will ever be good enough.
Right.
Um, I've definitely found that some of the newer LED lights that are coming out with spectrum modification and lensing are phenomenal, and we're getting terrific results with them right now.
Right.
Like you'd be hard pressed if I showed you, the finished product from both. I don't think you'd be able to tell the difference.
You wouldn't be able to tell the difference. And that's good. That's what you want anyway. I mean,
Right.
ideally, we want the lighting that's going to give us the most equivalent to what the sun would be.
Well, exactly. That's what I was going to say. In all cases, you're trying to make it a challenge. Obviously, it's a pretty good resource.
Yeah, but it has a huge spectrum of light, and it's very hard to duplicate in a small space and through a small little
with
electrical unit.
Yeah.
So, well, that's very good. So up there at Shoreline, you're up in the Westbrook area, right?
Yep, right on Route 1 in Westbrook. Yeah, I mean, that's where it's pretty much designed to like kind of get people started and show them, if they're going to grow at their house, like how to do it. Now, most of the stuff we do commercially is, drop shipping or bringing bigger equipment in and going to the sites.
And that's an interesting area of the state because obviously it's known for a certain, demographic up there and income level and all that kind of thing. But also, and I was discussing this with somebody the other day, and Lou and I kind of made the analogy earlier. If you live up there and you want to purchase cannabis, right? You're looking at most cities from New Haven, if you drive up the Shoreline, have a moratorium on cannabis sales. So you really are not, you have to drive a long way to actually purchase legal cannabis.
I think they opened one in Old Saybrook. I haven't bought.
Oh, yes.
Aside from at Lou, like I obviously have been to, Lou's place.
To Lou's, right. New Haven is the last pretty much place. You can't get it. Brantford, only medical.
Is it? Yeah.
Right.
I think the Fine Fettle in Saybrook.
Right. Saybrook, I think, is the first city. So you got all these other ones up where you are, like Westford, Guilford.
Yeah.
Have you found a larger interest in the community at large looking to grow? Let's say people that we wouldn't normally consider our community cannabis people that we know, and because obviously you got to the point where you probably knew everybody who was going to be purchasing from you. Have you found that the audience, let's quote unquote say, has expanded now, and that you're getting much more local people, local residents coming on in, interested in growing?
Yeah, I do think, and you see this in all the markets as they mature, that the stigma is kind of detaching a little bit. So people who may have been reluctant are now being curious, and so I get people coming in just seeing what it would be like what would I need in order to do it. So yeah, there's been a lot of interest in that, and then a lot of helping people that think it's really complicated to kind of walk through their first grow. So, but yeah, there's been more interest than I thought initially in that location because it's not super high traffic. It's not like
like I said, it's not. You can't even sell it. Everybody has a moratorium up there.
Yeah,
and it's not known to be real cannabis friendly up there.
Right,
but that's what I was considering. Now that it's legal, and I think that is a lot of what holds people back. Especially, it was interesting, and you were going to be on this. The Garden Club that tried to put on a cannabis little expo, right?
Yeah.
I found that interesting because it showed that, let's be real, Garden Club, you have a certain thought about what those are. It's about, then you'd never think that would be the type of person who would grow cannabis.
Yeah, it's weird because Connecticut has a strange law in effect right now, and I'm hoping they consider changing it, but it has to be indoors to grow cannabis in Connecticut, which Massachusetts changed theirs so that they can grow outside as long as it's not visible from the street.
I think we need to go to that.
I do too. I mean, I think, like we talked about before, the sun is a natural resource that they're essentially telling us we can't use. And I think that by going to a garden club, I mean, it's an investment. If you're going to grow indoors, to get a full tent set up and lights and all that kind of stuff, it's an investment.
Yeah.
I think if they flip that and we're like, all right, it just can't be visible from the street like Massachusetts did, that you would have interest in those garden clubs.
I think it would expand the people, and like you say, the demographic would change. You have a lot of seniors, let's say elder or people, even that demographic would definitely grow cannabis if they could put it out there with their tomatoes.
Oh,
If they could
yeah,
put it outside in there, right? If they could put it in with their regular stuff that they were already gardening, they would definitely do it. I
yeah. And
totally
I
do
think
believe that.
and as the research comes out, I mean, you're growing your own medicine at that point. And I
Yeah.
do for, there are people out here with disposable income that said, you know what, we'll build something in here and we'll grow. So I mean, I definitely have people that are doing that now indoors. I do think the interest would greatly increase if they dropped that law or modified it so that they could just grow so it's not visible from the street. But that's where you'd get the interest from the garden clubs. I don't think many of those
If you
garden
could do it outside, yeah.
yeah,
And even the
exactly.
regular people. I mean,
Oh yeah,
besides people in the garden clubs, I think the general public at large, and this is probably why it's more popular up there in Mass than it is here. They have even more of a business up there. Is that the outdoor piece of it?
yeah, absolutely. And I mean, even at bigger scale, like I know when Lou used to do CBD, like if you've ever seen the videos of his gardens like that,
Right.
beautiful. They're beautiful, and they really are. It's a beautiful plant anyway. So like, I
Well,
would,
on a commercial level, they have allowed outdoor grow,
yeah,
but
here,
only for the micro cultivators.
right,
On a small, but it's again totally different than home grow.
right.
I mean,
No,
again, here's the go. If they're going to let the businesses do it now, let's let the people do it.
right.
That's what it
Because the
comes down to.
quality, like the quality that you're going to get growing it yourself versus having it, sit on a shelf through testing, and it's really hard to control quality at a huge scale like that. Like, and people want high quality cannabis. It's
Yeah.
if you grow it, you learn how to grow it. You're going to have a better product than what you can purchase in most cases.
And realistically, this state with the electricity, they really ought to be more amenable
Yeah,
to outdoor cannabis. We'd really save electricity for a lot of people in this state, especially the damn cost of it here.
right.
Uh, so anyway, so that brings us to shoreline hydroponics. We're always at this point now. Obviously, we're at growing season here for outdoor. Obviously, if you're doing indoor, you can grow any time of year. And we're always talking about the difference between hydroponic and going out of soil, right?
Yeah.
To make it clear, for you, when you call your place shoreline hydroponics, obviously, if a home grower wants to come to you and learn about how to grow in soil, they're going to learn how to grow in soil from you as
Oh yeah,
well.
we sell soil. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
misleading in the title, but yeah, we sell soil and all that stuff too. The hydroponic is basically growing in like an inert or soilless media. So even cocoa, stuff like that. But yeah, we have tons of different soil brands, and we'll get you started and teach you how to do it. Make sure that your first one's successful.
Right. And obviously, and I think I was discussing this with somebody else. Um, as far as a home grower goes, hydroponics over soil cost factor.
It's really similar. I mean, the hydroponics you can do in a 5 gallon bucket. Um,
This is
you know,
what I want to get to. Like everybody who thinks hydroponics, and including myself, thinks you have to have this elaborate system.
no, not at all. I mean,
Pumps
we build
in and out, and like, because I've seen them before, and they all look like wow.
Yeah, we build them. I mean, we build them and design them. You can get as crazy as you want to, but it's like I tell people when they get started, if they're starting a hydroponic, get some 5 gallon buckets or some hydro buckets and just get started doing it. The initial investment of like getting a good pH meter and a good EC meter, you should have that. Realistically, you should have that whether you're growing in soil or
Or
hydro.
not. Right, right.
You just want to know what you're feeding the plant. The EC is electrical conductivity. It's how much nutrients are in that water. And then the pH level is obviously the acidity of the water. So both of those are going to be how you dial in what you're feeding the plant. And those numbers are going to look different depending on if you're in hydro or if you're in soil. But regardless, you should know what those numbers are.
Right, right. So real and what would be so realistically you're saying the concept of hydroponics is just as simple as the concept of soil
Yeah.
if you know what you're doing. It doesn't have to be this elaborate system of
No, not at
pumps
all. I mean,
and
you
all
can do
this.
there's different kinds of hydroponics. So like commercially, you could be doing drain to waste, which is like you're essentially feeding the plant in like these blocks, and in flower you need automated irrigation. You're feeding these things like 15 times a day, so you're not going to do that by hand, obviously.
Right.
Deep water culture would just you're in a 5-gallon bucket. There's an air stone in there. You can have recirculating systems do the same stuff. So you can complicate it if you want to, and like you can have really elaborate systems that are designed for scale. You don't have to. Like if you want to get started, like the rate of growth in a deep water system is faster than you will see in soil.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. The benefit would be the rate of growth.
Yeah, and it is faster. That plant is dialed in. It's getting the nutrients that it wants every second.
It's like an injection in there, right?
Yeah, it's interesting to see the difference. But then again, and people say you're missing terpene profiles that you'd see in soil. Like there's different elements to that soil with micronutrients that you may be missing in hydroponics. So like both have benefits, and
right.
It's really preference is what it comes down to. Is preference. There's also, if you're in deep water or if you're in like a drain to waste system that's automated, you can leave the plants alone for a long time. Like the system that I'm doing, I just built for a friend of mine. It's
because you never have to water them.
Right. I'm like, well, even this guy's in ProMix, so it's a peat based, so there's no whatever. It's basically soil, but it's fed every other day automatically. You check on the plants once every 2 weeks and fill the reservoir. That's it.
Make sure the lighting's good, right?
Yeah, make sure the lighting's good. Well, it's all on timers and stuff anyway.
Yeah,
so,
right.
But the plants are killing it. I was over there today, and they're great. They're going to come down next week. But that's, the second full run like that for that site, and check on it every 2 weeks. Don't overcomplicate it.
So it's a little bit less maintenance, obviously, because you don't have to water it. That makes a lot of sense. So there are pros and cons and benefits to both. I would assume. Now, are you finding most of the newer, let's say, cultivation facilities, do they do a combination of both? Or are you finding from a commercial level that you're getting more appeal from the hydroponic way of doing it, or in soil, or some larger cultivation facilities, combination using both?
I see most of the big facilities are hydroponic. They're usually drained to waste from what I've seen. We've got one that we're consulting with that's doing enormous deep water culture systems. But most are drained to waste, and they'll grow in like Rockwool cubes or cocoa block cubes. And yeah, they'll run 10% runoff, and in flower, they're getting watered 15 plus times a day, depending on the schedule. But yeah, most are drained to waste. Because it's interesting, you can grow in a 6-inch by 6-inch cube, you can grow full-size plants. Because think of that cube as just an anchor for the root system. That's all.
Yeah, because the roots are actually spreading out through the water.
Well, the roots they're still contained, but they don't need to get any bigger because they're constantly being fed the nutrients that they need.
Wow.
So it doesn't need to be in this big pot. Like you'll see the big pots in the mother rooms where they're growing the plants out much bigger to cut clones off, and you'll cut a whole table's worth of clones off of one plant. But it more often than not, I'd say the vast majority of the time, it's a drain to waste system.
On the commercial grows. Wow.
On the commercial side, yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. It does. It's a lot less maintenance. You don't have to bring in a lot of dirt.
No, it's clean.
Yeah, it's clean. Water is obviously a renewable resource. That's pretty interesting. I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot in this short conversation. All right, so it's grow season right now for those who are doing it. What are your recommendations? Are there any strains you're seeing out there? Are there any new types of technology you would recommend for people? What's popular? What are you working on this year, let's say?
So we've
also sell genetics up there, correct?
Yeah, we do. I just bred one that I'm running the first ones through flower now to kind of, we'll test them, we'll get COIs on it and all that stuff, but I'm really excited. It's a cross of papaya and white widow, and right now the first plant, cola, is massive. So it's definitely a big yielder. I'm curious to see what the TAC is on it when we get it tested.
Wow. Okay.
But yeah, I
And
mean,
out there in the market, what like I know last year everybody was saying the candies were real popular. What are we looking at this year as something that people should look at to grow in their gardens? What are the more popular strains of trendy ones this year?
we do a lot with cookies. That we sell a lot of cookie seeds and lemonade. But I mean, it's what I'm seeing now is personal preference. Like the trends in the market commercially are geared towards, yielding and short flower cycles, like the papaya that we
Commercial,
have.
right?
The papayas from when you put it into flower to harvest is only 45 days. So
Wow.
it's a very fast plant for what you're doing. We have a Trop Cookies and Super Boof Cross that is very similar. It's right in line with that 45 and 50 days. But yeah, I mean, what we're seeing now are more speed to be done, matured flower.
Right.
And they're super dank too. I mean, the fruitiness of the both the papaya and that Trop Cookies are, grape and just really fruity flavors. Like your hands just smell like fruit.
Yeah, I've been seeing, what I've been seeing a lot more of are some classic strains.
Yeah.
I actually personally me have some Acapulco, sour,
Yeah.
Blue Dream. I mean, I
Blue
don't
Dream's good.
know again if they are, let's say, land race,
Yeah.
but they are claiming to be the classic strains. We'll see how they turn out. But interesting thing. This would be something to talk about. I've been seeing a lot lately that if you're buying cannabis at a dispensary or commercially, there is pretty much these days no difference between indica and sativa anymore because the crossbreeding and they will not give it the amount of time that a true sativa takes
Yeah.
to come to fruition.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look at what we were just talking about. That
Right.
45 days versus what you'd see in like a 10-week cycle on a plant. We do have a strain that is straight sativa. It's a 10-week flower. It's gorgeous. It's stringy. They also don't produce, or at least I shouldn't say all of them. This one doesn't produce as much as far as like price, or I'm sorry, weight, like
Right. I know what you're saying.
grams per square foot.
Right.
But it's also one that like wakes you up. Like if I try to smoke that, I don't have something to do like in the woods. Like I'm gonna get anxiety from it. It's a very very strong sativa.
And that
Yeah,
was kind of the gist of everything. You can't find that very
right.
much
No, but
anymore.
I think that is more geared for me at least towards the home grow. Like I would be reluctant.
Yeah,
I
that's where I
will
was
breed
headed
with
with
it.
it.
Like I will use it to breed eventually. But for me, like I have one right now that's in flower. But once I harvest the three others in my tent, that one is going to continue in there by itself for quite some time. So it's just a longer cycle, but I'll have it readily available. And it's one that I'll continue. Like I have clones of it and I'll just continue that line. I mean, we also have another strain, and I'll talk to you guys about it when I confirm what it is. But the guy that I got it from's had it for a long time. Like I've been told it's like a 30-year-old strain. So talking about some of the old school ones, it's an old one.
Yeah, I never gave much credence to all that until I really researched it and saw that the cannabis, again, I go back to my day and all that, throughout the years has been crossbred and changed in so many different
Mm-hmm.
ways that it's almost you almost have to go backwards
Right.
to go forwards, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, and I think the strain
Like
hunters, like
nobody knows what the original actually was.
right, the strain hunters, the Dutch group, like they've done a really good job of really going to isolated places around the world and finding those land race and like really bringing back some beautiful stuff from all over the world. But yeah, it's incredible. And it's incredible like how many and how much fluctuation in the same thing is all over the world. Like you talk about autoflowers and all that is
Right, that's
they're,
all new stuff.
they're breeding. Well, no, they're breeding plants that are from north of the Arctic Circle.
Oh,
So
okay.
those plants had such a short season, and they couldn't wait until it was 12 and 12. They had to start flowering early, or they wouldn't get the late cycle.
Oh.
So bringing down autos here and crossbreeding those. What's that? You all right?
Yeah, yeah, I'm good.
Uh, but like, yeah, breeding those with other plants, and you're trying to get, the auto. But that the auto's not a new thing. It's just newly brought down here from that.
Yeah, oh, so what you're saying is those are strains
Yeah,
that were naturally growing, like you say, in the Arctic. Now that's interesting. Or way high up, like even Siberia, like you said.
yeah.
I never thought of that, but why wouldn't cannabis grow up there?
No, it does. It's from
And right,
everywhere.
as because other vegetation does.
Yeah,
We don't normally think of that.
yeah. But that's where that's from. The autos are from plants that were raised north of the Arctic Circle.
Oh,
Because then they have to go into flower when they still have 24 hours. So in some cases, a full 24 hours of light.
So no, I was in Puerto Rico for 3 years, and we had a 12 and 12 constantly,
Hmm.
right? So, and that would that be more conducive for a sativa? Like, in other words, are there land raised? Because, like you say, there was a short grow season and a short lighting up there in the Arctic, right?
Yeah.
It's a long grow season, but a short lighting down
So
there in the Caribbean.
in the summer, it would still, I mean, for them to veg, they would still need to have closer to that 18.6.
Right.
So I would assume going into it, their light cycles are a little bit longer. So yeah, I mean, you'd have a longer grow season. So why not push a sativa?
Yeah, right. And that's why I would say a lot of sativas, Jamaica,
Yeah.
all those areas, that's where they come from. Oh, okay, very good. Well, I learned a lot today, and especially now with grow season coming up. But we're down to about 2 minutes. I wanted to give you a chance to give your address. Let me know if there's anywhere you're going to be, any things you got going on at the store. You are coming down to Nautilus Botanicals
Yeah.
this Sunday from 12 to 3. And what are we going to be doing down there?
Oh, we're gonna have some seeds. We're gonna have stuff to get started. I want to show people whatever they want to see. I'm gonna talk to Lou about it. We can show people how to cut clones there. But I got to talk to Lou about what we're allowed to do. I don't know if he's got any restrictions on that, but yeah, I mean, I'll have some stuff to bring down and just show people how to get started themselves.
Great. And that's from 12 to 3. You're coming on down with some materials. Great way to educate yourself, get some plants going, learn about growing. How do they reach you on social media? And give us your address so people can come visit you at the store if they need to.
Yeah, come check us out. 174 Boston Post Road in Westbrook, Connecticut. Yeah, I'm down there Tuesday through Saturday and helping people get started growing. Look us up, shoreline underscore hydroponics, Instagram. Yeah, come check us out.
Instagram, Facebook. I know you got a Facebook
Yeah,
page.
Facebook's on there, Shoreline Hydroponics.
Great, great. LinkedIn. All right. Chad, it's always a pleasure talking to you. I'm sorry Trent couldn't come on today,
Yeah, me
but
too.
we did what we had to do.
All right.
Everybody, thank you
See you
very
guys
much.
soon.
Harry, hit that music. I'm ready to go. Shoreline Hydroponics. We will see you this Sunday over at Nautilus Mechanicals. That's the 18th from 12 to 3. Come on down if you want to learn about, maybe cut a couple cones, pick up some genetics. We will see you then. All right.
All right, man. Take care.
Take care now. Follow me, like, share, subscribe at Joe the Weed Guy, at Greenhaven Media. You can also follow Lou at Farmer Lou. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you next week.